4 months ago, Doug Redmond walked out to the mailbox on Sycamore Street and dropped in one last envelope. The check inside covered the final payment on the house behind him. 38 years. $172,000 borrowed back in 1988. Paid off to the penny. Free and clear. That's the phrase Marcy used. Free and clear. Like reading it off a street sign. His son Marcus called that afternoon. Marcus is 34, certified financial planner. Works at one of the big advisory firms in Cleveland. Dad, you're basically a millionaire now. 250 in the house. 185 in the 401k. Congratulations. Doug believed him. The American playbook is short. A paid-off house is the biggest asset most Americans own by the time they retire. Buy things that pay you, own things. Doug ran it clean for 40 years, but this morning, Marcy came into the kitchen and said the hot water heater needs to be replaced. $2,400. Doug nodded, said, all right, and felt his stomach tighten. Same tightness. 15 years ago. Bad summer, high electric bill, which is strange. He's supposed to be a millionaire now. So Doug sat down at the dining room table with a yellow legal pad. Alone, he asked himself a question he'd never asked in 40 years of paying that mortgage down. Last month, how much money did his house actually send into his checking account? He wrote it at the top of the page. Slowly, the answer, when he worked it out, was not the number he was expecting. Doug ran the American playbook. Not because he read finance books, because his shop teacher told him at 19, max the retirement account, pay the house off early, don't buy a car you can't afford. That was it. He wrote it on the inside of his toolbox lid and did it. 40 years of maintenance at a public high school in Ohio. Every raise went into the 401k. Every tax refund went at the mortgage principal. And when Marcus was 12, Doug read a piece in a Reader's Digest at a doctor's office about a Ramsey solutions study. Big study. 10,000 American millionaires. 79% of them received no inheritance. None. The typical one hit that first million around age 49. Regular jobs. Regular houses. Nothing dramatic. Doug tore the page out. Kept it. The playbook worked. Marcus explained it over the phone the week after the mortgage cleared. Dad, the median net worth for people your age in America is about $410,000. You and Mum are at $435,000. That puts you above average. Top half. Your discipline paid off exactly the way it was supposed to. Marcus has the certification and the numbers. He wasn't wrong. And the house on Sycamore isn't just a number. 2 kids grew up in it. Buster is buried under the maple. Sam too. Marcy's height chart for Marcus runs up the kitchen door frame in ballpoint pen. 1994 is at 3'6". The day Doug dropped that last envelope in the box, he came inside, poured a cup of coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and read the paid in full letter 3 times, just to make sure. $1,180 had been leaving his checking account on the first of every month for 38 years. Now it wasn't. That was the promise. Pay off the house, free up cash flow, add it to the retirement account and Social Security when it kicks in at 67 and coast through to 90. It made sense. Everyone said so. Doug believed it. And for 4 months, he felt calm. Then Saturday morning, coffee going, Marcy walks in from the garage. The hot water heater's making that sound again. I called the guy, 2400. Doug says, all right, but his stomach does that thing, that soft squeeze. Same one he got 15 years ago when a $340 electric bill came in after a long August. It's a physical memory. His body remembers being tight before his mind does. That stops him. He's supposed to be past this. Marcus said so on the phone. The playbook said so in Reader's Digest. $435,000 is a real number, above the American median. So why is a $2,400 water heater making his stomach cramp? He walks into the dining room, pulls a yellow pad out of the drawer. He's always done maintenance math on yellow pads. 40 years of leaky faucets and boiler quotes. No spreadsheets. He draws a line down the middle. Left side, can spend. Right side, can't. Then he starts putting things in, one at a time. 401k. 185,000. He could log into Fidelity this afternoon and move money. Left side, local credit union savings, 12,000. Left side, Social Security, doesn't exist yet. He's 66, kicks in at 67. He writes the date next to it, then he stops. The pencil sits between the two columns, waiting. The house, $250,000 of equity, according to Marcus and Zillow and the county assessor. Doug is supposed to put it on the left side. That's what Marcus said. That's what the $435,000 number depends on. That's what the playbook depends on. But Doug is holding a pencil. The question is real. He remembers something. 30 years ago, a math teacher at the school lent him a paperback, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Doug read it in a week. There was one line in the whole book he actually kept. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. That was the test. That was the whole thing. Doug writes the question at the top of the yellow pad in block letters. Slow strokes. Last month, what did this house pay us? He stops. He looks out the window at the maple tree. He starts thinking about the actual numbers. Property tax on Sycamore, $4,800 a year, split into monthly escrow. That's $400 a month going out. Homeowners insurance, $1,600 a year. Another one, 30 something a month going out. Maintenance average about 1% of the home value per year. Everybody says so, $4,500 a year. Another $375 a month going out. And then the water heater, $2,400 today. The house takes about $900 a month in a normal month. It just took $2,400 more in one bill. Doug looks at the question. Top of the pad, he writes the answer underneath. Slowly, 0. Not 500, not 100, not 10, 0. The house did not send Doug a single dollar last month, or the month before, or any of the 4 months since he paid it off. It sent bills. Every month, without asking, it took about $900 out of the account and put nothing back. Doug sits with that for a while. The line from the paperback 30 years ago, Doug remembers it now. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. By that test, the whole playbook is built on the house. On Sycamore is not the asset. It's the other thing. Read that again. The house Doug spent 38 years paying off. The one Marcus counted toward the millionaire number. The one the American playbook holds up as the biggest financial accomplishment of a working life. Sycamore Street. By the playbook's own test, it doesn't pass. This is not the house's fault, and it's not Doug's fault. The house is a wonderful thing. 2 kids grew up in it. There's a golden retriever under the maple, Sam too. Marcy's height chart runs up the door frame. Nobody is saying sell it. Nobody is saying it doesn't matter. But it is not what Marcus said it was. It's a place to live that Doug has already paid for once, and that he will keep paying for every single month until the day he moves out or dies. Not a paycheck, a house. That's a different thing than $185,000 in a 401k. Very different. Doug looks at the maple a while. This thing Doug is running into has a name. Mental accounting. Richard Thaler got part of a Nobel Prize for it in 2017. The brain sorts money into separate buckets and forgets that every dollar in every bucket can flow the same way. Doug's $435,000 number wasn't wrong. 2 numbers stuck together. 185 he can spend, 250 locked in a roof over his head. On paper it felt like wealth. Wouldn't buy a water heater. This is not a discipline problem for Doug. This is what every human brain does with a number too big to hold at once. And nobody in 40 years of the playbook, not the shop teacher, not the Reader's Digest article, not Marcus told Doug to pull the number apart, not one. There's a reason an advisor who charges a percentage of the money he manages does better when clients treat everything as one big pile and leave it there. He's not lying to you when he doesn't say, hey, split your net worth into 2 columns. He's just not going to be the first person in the room to bring it up. For Doug, splitting the number in 2 isn't seeing himself as poorer, just seeing straight. New sheet, left side. 401k, 185. Credit union, 12. Total, $197,000 can spend. Right side. $250,000 locked. Available only by selling the house or borrowing against it or selling equity to a company, and each of those costs him something real. He looks left. 197,000, not 435. He runs the math. If he pulls 40,000 a year, a modest lifestyle, and adds social security when it starts at 67, 197 lasts him about 5 years on its own before the account is empty. That is not a plan. That is a countdown. But now he knows. That changes things. The $2,400 water heater doesn't threaten wealth anymore because Doug isn't holding on to that fake wealth. Comes out of 197 and leaves 194,600. Smaller number, real number he can read. His stomach unwinds. Not because the news got better, because the information finally matched the feeling Doug called Marcus that night. Not angry. Marcus, when you sit down with a client, do you ever pull their net worth apart into 2 columns? The part they can actually spend this year and the part they can't? Pause on the phone. Dad, the way our firm does it, no. We don't split it that way. It's complicated on our end. Doug said okay and meant it. Marcus is a good kid. Marcus isn't hiding the ball. Marcus is doing his job the way his firm has taught him to do the job. And now Doug knows his firm's way is not the only way, and it is not the right way for Doug. Doug knows something now a lot of people running the same playbook don't. He runs a test on any big number last month. How much did the house pay us? If the answer is 0, and for the house you live in, the answer is almost always 0, then it's a locked store of value, not a wealth engine. Not bad, not wrong. A different thing than an account you can spend from, call it what it is, the yellow pad stays out. 2 columns. What he can spend this year, right, what he can't unless he breaks something. Doug did this on a 25-cent pad. You don't need software. If you're planning to unlock the house someday, sell it, take a reverse mortgage, sell equity to a company like HomeTap, decide which one before you count on it specifically. Until you commit to a path, the wealth engine from the house is 0 in your spending plan. I'll figure it out later, is how retirement math goes sideways. He also sat down and added up what the house costs to keep every year after it's paid off. Property tax, insurance, maintenance, about $10,900 for Sycamore. That number lives in the column called still paying every year for the rest of my life, not the column called I'm free now. And the last thing, when anybody, a certified expert, a book, a study, a son on the phone, hands you a nice sounding financial framework, run it against your biggest asset first. Whatever fails the framework's own test doesn't belong in the answer. Doug still lives on Sycamore. Marcy still has the height chart in the kitchen. The maple is fine, but the yellow pad is on the dining room table now, always. And the 2 columns are what he looks at when the water heater goes. Ask yourself Doug's question. Last month, how much did your paid off house send into your checking account? If the answer is 0, that's okay. You know now. Put the number in the comments. Or tell me how you'd split your own net worth into 2 columns. The next video goes at the harder question, how to actually pull money out of a house. 3 ways. Each one costs you. Subscribe if you want to know that before you need to know that. This is for education and entertainment only, not financial advice. For decisions about your situation, talk to a qualified fiduciary advisor, a CPA, or the SSA.